Good day and welcome. Matthew here again. We are at Group 3. We are at Dragtons Trail Gardens with the Group 3 cars. Nations FIA Nations event. Man, get my words out. Blimey. This is the second race of the night. The first race went rather poorly for me. I think I qualified 6th and ended up 8th. But a bit poor driving on my behalf, in all honesty, so it was my own fault I fell backwards. But this time out, I managed to qualify first. It wasn't a stellar lap, but it was obviously good enough to get ahead of Adam. And this kind of had me worried. Adam's a much better driver than me, and I knew he'd be quick. The plan of attack for this race, well, the FT1 was going to be better on its tyres. The Lexus and Adam, faster than I am. In fact, his qualifying time in the first round was a 29.8 versus my one this time was a 30.3. So you can see he had a lot more pace in that car than he actually did in this qualifying round. So my goal was try to stay ahead of him for 6 or 7 laps, and his tyres would eventually go, and I'd then be able to more easily maintain my position. So I knew I was going to be on the defensive from the outset. The Lexus strength over the Toyota, well actually more the Toyota's weakness, is its poor torque and pulling out of slow corners. So the hairpin, the chicane, it's not too bad. It can hop the curb quite nicely. The hairpin down the end of the straight, and then the hairpin at the end of the last corner, the end of the track. So that was my biggest weaknesses, and I really had to defend against the Lexus. That needs in my draft, so he's already got a bit of a speed advantage on me. So I knew I was going to be defending quite heavily for a few laps. And we got FSR Weapon, who is allegedly used to be JM1969, I believe. Allegedly. Who's actually been on quite a decent pace recently, and was quite a threat too in the Mazda, all of one position further back from Adam. So this was always going to be a tough race for me, and it was really just going to come down to how robust my defense was in positioning my car and figuring that out on the fly as I got attacked by Adam for the better part of the race. And actually I didn't even after 6 or 7 laps where my tyres would be in a better position than Adam's, I still didn't believe that it would have been easy after that. He was going to be on my tail for 12 laps, and it was going to be tough. It got to the end of lap 4 where Adam finally got in a decent position to have a run at me and try to an overtake, so I have to go defensive into turn 1. Really have to pull it up on the apex and just hang there and prevent him from undercutting me, because I took such a tight line into that first corner. But that was really the start of his assault. He'd been following me quite closely, but was never in quite a position that I had to go defensive. So down the main straight I took an earlier line to the left, telegraphing what I was going to be doing, and I took a defensive line into the first turn. And as you saw, that one there paid off. I was always a little bit afraid of this one because I knew his car was a lot stronger out of that corner than me. And he has a look most laps. But the Toyota, although it is the worst, I think it's the worst in the group for those types of corners, it's not going to create, I don't lose 2 or 3 tenths out of that corner to give him an overlap. And I guess with the pressure, the constant pressure, I start going into that long right hand. I start braking a bit deeper into it. And I believe it does. I don't believe it does actually start costing me a lot of speed. And looking back now, it was kind of silly. I didn't need to do that. I had the position ahead of him. I didn't need to brake any deeper than I was. I just needed to maintain a decent speed and get a good drive through there. Once again, taking a defensive line. He was further up the side of me this time. Gave him the room, and I just needed to be a little bit later on the brakes into this one to prevent him turning in. He's still got the inside line. We go side by side through here. I get the inside line through that. Gives me a good run, and now we're side by side down this straight. Bit of a tap. Weapon gives me a bit of a tap, and that gave me the edge just down to this corner. So that was lucky by Weapon giving me that. I managed to pull it up. Not too bad on the brakes this car. Not the best, but not too bad. And having the inside line meant it was a bit easier to defend. He'd have to go quite a long way around to get ahead of me there. But as you can see, really close racing. All the way through. What are we, coming up to lap 7 now? And because I'm starting to break deeper into that long right-hander, he's getting better runs, Adam's getting better runs on me into this final corner. It's 2 corners, but you treat it as one. It's a double apex last corner. This time though, I go to have a look at defending. Adam doesn't follow me across, so I kind of half resume my line. Not putting my car into his path, but getting a better line for me through there. I guess he'd kind of given up attacking me through there because it wasn't working. So I appreciated that. Gives me a moment of break. A moment of break. What is that English? But this here, I believe he just sticks his nose up the inside. Prevents me from turning in. I still turn in quite tight. He gives me a nudge. Now we're side by side. So I just hang around the outside here because I knew he'd have to go quite slow to not push me too wide. And he gives me respect. He gives me the racing room. I mean, that's really fair driving by him. It's really good driving by Adam. Like, he was attacking hard and I was defending hard. And it was clean between both of us, and it was really excellent. But a driver of Adam's caliber, like some people, there are some fast drivers out there that will push you wide or push you off, no problem at all, but Adam's fast and respectful. So, you know, just, I don't know what the word is, but yay for people like that, drivers like that. Just brilliant. It's just a joy to race with and race against. And I may have done some things that may have upset him or annoyed him, and nothing I did deliberately. But you make decisions in the heat of the moment. You're under a lot of pressure. You try to do the best you can. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But I missed that, as you saw, that exit apex. Adam gets a good run on me down the outside. He goes quite deep this time. I give him a wee tap, I didn't mean to. He's hanging around the outside, gets a really good drive. That's the Lexus's strength. Lexi's strength? How do you say that? And he gets past me finally, lap 8. It's really well done by him. And so then I had to... Well, actually, I didn't have to. No, I had to worry. I always had to worry about Weapon. He was there the whole time. I was always worried about Weapon getting past me. Or getting past Adam as well. But now my concern was, okay, lap 8, the Lexus got past me. His tyres should have gone off by now. I don't know how he got past, like, how with worse tyres he should have got past me. He goes a little bit wide there, but not too bad. How he should have got past me. Now my goal was to stick in his draft, and I should still have better tyres. In fact, I can just go jump on his car. Really similar. A little bit worse. Tiniest bit worse. He was driving it really nicely. So I had the best tyres, but I guess because I'd been going so slow, Adam had also been going quite slow. As you see on the right hand side, we're in the 32s on lap 6, which lap 6 probably should still be in the 30s, to be honest. But that's just with the back and forth and the close battling. If you notice back there through the chicane, Weapon gave me a bit of a nudge. I think it affected him more than me. He dropped back to about a second behind me. So that really took all the pressure off me. And I felt that, I didn't know, but I just felt that the Mazda wouldn't quite have the tyres to catch back up. And because he wasn't in the draft anymore, he wasn't going to be too much of a threat. So now it was just me and Adam. And I really had to just hold on to his draft. I noticed through the first turn that I was a lot faster on exit. So I still had much better cornering pace than he did. And I had assumed, looking at it now a bit foolishly, but I'd assumed that was because I had a tyre advantage. So I just thought if I, kept it clean, didn't go wide, didn't go too wide like you saw Adam go just then, I would be able to have him again. I knew I wouldn't be able to do it out of a corner because he had more torque than I did and more pull out of the corners. So I was thinking at this stage, turn 1, get a good drive through turn 1, and you'll watch me pull up on the back of him here. Just much better pace. I gained a tenth or two. So I thought I might be able to pull up beside him on the exit and take away the chicane from him. He gets a bit sideways here. The tyres are starting to go, so they are getting a little bit sideways and squirrely. But still, I was in quite a happy place, I guess. Happy place for this one. Just a bit further on, still a wee tyre check. A little bit better still, not much in it. Coming up to the end of lap 10, I'm gaining on him. I feel I'm in a good position because I can still gain on him through the corners. I really aggressively pursue this one to try to get a good drive into turn 1. And I go probably an inch too wide. Would have been anything more than that. Really unfortunate. You watch this. Just the tiniest bump on the outside of that curb, and it pitches me to the inside. I hit the wall. I lose a position to weapon. I went from 2 tenths behind Adam to about 5.5 seconds. Took some damage to the car, but that doesn't matter. At this stage, the race is over in terms of me taking a victory. It was good racing. It was really hard racing. I didn't expect to beat Adam. I never expect to beat Adam. In fact, I don't expect to beat anybody, in all honesty. You never know what the race is going to throw up. Sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. But I thought I was in quite a good position in my car to take a win, or to at least really, really challenge for it. But alas, not today. So that's it from me. I basically finished where you saw it. Adam takes a win. Weapon comes home in second. I come home third. Just for fun in the last lap. Because I thought I had a tyre advantage, I was seeing where I'd end up relative to first and second. I gained about 2 or 3 tenths on Weapon, and I gained nearly a second on Adam. Although I have a feeling that Adam was just cooling it down and driving a bit slower because he had first and he had it by about 3 seconds, so he didn't really have to push. But that's it. Ultimately, it was my own mistake. That was my undoing. I felt I was in a decent position and could have really threatened for the win this time, but not this week. Maybe next week. Anyway, next on the agenda is Nations Cup at, where was it? Interlagos. N300, so street cars again, road cars, which will probably be F50 territory. I don't know. We'll see how we go. But I'm looking forward to it. The street cars you get less people turning up for the street car races, but they are a lot of fun and they can really mix things up. So I'm looking forward to that. Until then, thank you for watching. Thanks for coming along, and we will see you next time.